Thank you, Chair. Dr. Koenig, thank you very much for being with us today. Well, happy to hear that you want to stick to the 8% liabilities. We share that ambition. But for the GSIB TLAC, it's very easy to make the calculation that if we apply the criteria of 18% of risk-weighted assets and 6.75% of level exposure measures, we have very easily the risk to fall under that significantly less than that 8% of total liabilities for GSIBs. So my question would be, don't you think that the ambition for GSIB of TLAC of the Commission should be higher, because there is a risk that we fall under that threshold? This is my first question. And my second question regarding the prudential assessment of loss absorption requirements, we see a new trend of, let's say, splitting the hard requirements of the so-called soft guidance. And, well, many, including supervisors, not directly linked to your jurisdiction, would agree that since a breach of this guidance is apparently without consequences, it could be actually a pointless provision. So my question would be, under which circumstances you believe that the supervisory belief that an institution should build up capital can be just ignored? Thank you.
I think transforming the TLAC term sheet into European legislation and focusing on the 18%/6.75% leverage ratio is only the one leg. The other leg is TLAC is a minimum standard, and also within the MREL framework, and I think that's undoubted, there is Pillar 1, which is these amounts, and you're right, that doesn't get you in normal cases to 8% total liability, and there is a Pillar 2, which is something that the resolution authority has to decide based on its risk assessment. And this is why I'd asked that we need flexibility, so that depending on the systemic importance, depending on the complexity, we can set the right Pillar 2 for these institutions. So I think we stick to our argument that the blunt logic behind it is basically if you have one of the largest institutions or one of the very large institutions, you need to be able to come up with the required capital on Monday morning to get market confidence, and then a good starting point is you take the basic going concern capital requirements times 2, because you believe the first one is gone. So I agree there needs to be ambition, and we need to make sure that the Pillar 2 is not constrained. The second question, Pillar 2 guidance, Pillar 2 requirement, I think it depends a bit in this case. You can easily work with a Pillar 2 guidance if you closely monitor it, and once a bank is not adhering to Pillar 2 guidance, you can turn it into Pillar 2 requirement, which makes it a firmer argument. It's a workable tool. It needs close monitoring.